Our next guest, Matt Anderson, grew up on a farm without internet access. So, of course, that's the perfect upbringing for an entrepreneur whose new company, Zazu, is poised to revolutionize cyberspace. Big statement. Matt's going to tell us how this humble upbringing developed a fascination with the internet and led him to start his first company at 15 years old, essentially in his pajamas in his bedroom, and how it led Matt to found Zazu. He's also going to share with us what's wrong with the internet today and what it's going to look like in the future. That is a big statement that you're going to revolutionize the internet. What do you mean by that?
Well, the current internet funnels everything upwards. And by 2020, I don't think the internet will look exactly like it does today. I mean, consumers might have a few smart products in their homes, but when we get to the time when we have 100 smart products, it's not going to be likely that we have 100 different apps to control all of them. And the data flowing upstream for IoT products, Internet of Things products, is a constant stream of data. It's not static data like a Facebook post that you can store on a hard drive. So I really think that within the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have to revolutionize the way that we process data. And I think that what we're going to do with Zazu is we're going to be able to process that data close to where the data is actually created, closer to the end user within the last mile of the internet. And I think what that'll do is it'll alleviate a lot of the upstream networks. Instead of bringing an entire mountain of data all the way upstream to sift through it for the gold, I think that we're only going to send the gold upstream is what Zazu is aiming to do.
Okay, so now you've got me confused with a few things that you've said, but let's start with the Internet of Things.
Right.
Okay, this is a buzzword that's been around for a while. What does that mean?
So the Internet of Things, or the Internet of Everything, is yet another marketing term, just like the cloud. The cloud isn't really a cloud; it's just a bunch of interconnected networks, the internet. Now, the Internet of Things is, at the moment, it is a buzzword, but it's already here. We're already in the Internet of Things. But the products themselves aren't very smart yet. They will be smart when they start communicating with each other. And the problem that we're seeing right now with the internet is that they all have their own signals up to central servers. Now, it's the same principle, is that if we're sitting right next to each other and I were to send you an email,
right?
Guess what? The email goes
all over.
It goes thousands of miles away and then comes all the way back to you, even though we're sitting 2 feet away from each other. Now, that is not an intelligent topology for the internet. There needs to be some sort of decentralization for the servers and the data center so that we can process that closer to where you and I are, which will offload the upstream networks. And if we do that, if we bring it closer to the end user, then we can put it onto a common platform so that all of our smart products that are in our home or around us are all operating on a common platform.
So theoretically, they'd all be connected to each other, but they're not going out into the internet, which also deals with a lot of the concerns about the security of our data, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So I take it that's what Zazu is all about. So tell us about how you started the company.
So it started out of a small research lab in southern Alberta, and we began with just researching internet topology. That was our main interest.
Internet
topology.
Topology.
So the way that it's structured, how does it look like? And right now, it's basically, you have all of the end users, the internet users like me and you, and all of our data flows up. So if you use cloud storage, what you're doing is you're essentially just, instead of storing that file on your computer, you're just storing it on a massive data center right next to everybody else's files. And the only convenience of that is that you can access it from anywhere just by logging into your account.
Right, which is a big convenience.
It's a big convenience. So what Zazu is doing is we're putting smart hardware in your home, smart hardware that we've invented out of our lab, that gives you all of the benefits of the cloud with more privacy and security than a private VPN server. It's essentially giving every user a tiny piece of the internet so that all of the data that you create doesn't have to flow upstream.
So that sounds like, it almost sounds like you're going completely counterintuitive to all the talk about the cloud, which now I get what you mean by saying you're going to revolutionize the internet.
It's almost turning everything on its head. And if we do it properly, not only will you not need to use your cloud service, eventually you may not need to use your ISP. Now, the reason, going back to why is it so insecure, well, everybody's racing to get venture capital, or racing to get funding, or racing to design the next new cool IoT product. And what they're completely overlooking is the security of it. They're putting microprocessors in them that don't have enough power to generate cryptographic keys necessary for encryption, which means that if you're in a coffee shop watching your baby monitor from your home, somebody can sniff into that signal, which means they can intercept that
quite
signal
easily, right?
quite easily, especially on open Wi-Fi, and essentially watch your baby sleep. And that is, I think, what's starting to terrify people.
So the company's called Zazu. What's the next step for Zazu?
So we're currently raising funding. We are, well on our way. We're testing it. We're seeing how people like it, and what will it do for the consumer. The reason that I like Zazu so much, it's very, very simple. Plug it into your home and your home network, and it has a value for everybody. It has a value for Netflix, YouTube, the ones that are trying to get the content closer to the user. It has a value proposition for data brokers, all of the companies that are trying to process the data, these central data centers. And it has a value for the user and the ISP. It lets the ISP transcend network borders. And it lets the user have that privacy and security that they're paying for with their internet service. It gives them all the benefits of the cloud with more privacy and security than a private VPN server.
Well, what's super cool about this, I just met a guy in LA who exited his first company at age 15, and he's invested in 40 companies since 2010. And he said to me, this year, I'm only doing hardware deals. So you're going to get an introduction.
Oh, there we go. That would be perfect.
Matt from Zazu, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Sounds fantastic. Can't wait to follow along this story. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.